Come have fun with us and don't forget to subscribe.
What's up everybody, I'm Rick.
And I'm Anna, and welcome to our review of the 1935 movie David Copperfield. For those of you who are new to our channel, hi and welcome. Please don't forget to subscribe to have fun with us. This channel is dedicated to Rick and my bucket list of goals and dreams that we hope to accomplish in our lifetime. And one of those goals for us is to watch every movie that was nominated at the Academy Awards for Best Picture from 1927 to 2028. That is 101 years of Academy Awards Best Picture nominees and their respective winners. And we are currently at the year 1935, which is the 8th Academy Award year. To this day, we have watched 63 movies as part of this goal, and we have also discussed about one movie that is not available to us because it's only available at UCLA, and one lost movie.
Yeah, still looking for it. Not there.
And if you don't know yet how these reviews are going, it's very simple. The first part is a spoiler-free part in which we'll give our top-level appreciation and some commentary on the movie without spoiling the plot. And the second part is a spoiler-filled part in which we deep dive into certain elements, certain plot points while spoiling the story. Don't worry, however, if you don't want to get spoiled, we will warn you before we get to the spoiler-filled part. And at that point, you can head to the description box below where there's a timestamp that will take you directly to the end of this video where we do the ranking. Because every year we rank the nominated movies according to our likings and preferences. But before we get into all of that, let me give you, Rick, and you, everyone watching this video, some information about this movie.
Oh.
In the trivia section.
Tell me about this movie.
David Copperfield is an MGM movie that came out on January 18, 1935. It is based on Charles Dickens' 1850 novel titled... Do you know what the title of the novel is?
It's The Adventure and Life of the Younger David Copperfield or something like that.
Oh wow, I'm surprised. I actually thought it's David Copperfield.
Oh.
I always thought that that's the title of the novel. So it's the personal history, adventures, experience, and observation of David Copperfield the Younger. The movie was directed by George Cukor, who has also directed other movies that we watched as part of this goal, namely Little Women and 1 Hour with You, where he was a second uncredited director actually.
So used to adapting a book into movies.
It seems like it, yes. I'm wondering if we're gonna see more of these by him. The movie stars Freddie Bartholomew as David Copperfield as a boy, Frank Lawton as David Copperfield as an adult, whom we've also seen before in the movie Cavalcade.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, he's one of the sons.
Oh, okay.
Edna Mae Oliver as Betsy Trotwood, whom we've also seen before in Little Women and in Cimarron. Jessie Ralph as Clara Peggotty, whom we've also seen before in Captain Blood and One Night of Love. And C.W. Fields as Wilkins Micawber. The movie was nominated for 3 Academy Awards. First of all, Best Picture, or as it was known back then, Outstanding Production, which is why we have watched it and we are reviewing it right now. It was also nominated for Best Film Editing for Robert Kern and Best Assistant Director for Joseph F. Newman.
That's a weird one, huh? Assistant director gets nominated, not director. I really gotta research what they do exactly.
The movie was very well received when it came out. Some of the reviews at the time say that it is the most profoundly satisfying screen manipulation of a great novel the camera has ever given us.
Oh.
By Andre Senwald of the New York Times. And Variety wrote about it that it is one of the most evenly good cast ever to have been assembled. And before we move on, some interesting fun facts about the movie. So W.C. Fields, who plays Wilkins Micawber, was a Charles Dickens scholar in real life. According to film historians, this is his only role that he played according to script and as he was directed. Otherwise, he would improvise a lot, right? But he wanted to play this role so much that he was willing to promise to behave, right? And he also put aside his unwillingness of working with child actors in order to play this role in this movie. Another interesting fact is that he was heavily criticized at the time for playing the role with a heavy American accent. To which he responded, "My father was an Englishman and I inherited this accent from him. Are you trying to go against nature?" I thought that was a curious fact. Yeah. So that was it for the information that I had about the movie. And now let us move on to our spoiler-free section.
No spoilers.
No spoilers. So, Rick, without spoiling the movie, what did you think of it?
What did I think of it? I enjoyed it. It was a good movie. Definitely felt like a book transformed into a movie.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know if you've read it.
I've read when I was very young, like a child version adaptation, like a shorter, simpler version of it, you know, like for kids.
Yeah.
But I never read the whole, but I knew the story, but I never read like the whole novel.
I haven't read it, and even then I could feel like, this is definitely a book. They're either like living out some stuff that felt like it would have been more developed.
Yeah, that's something you definitely feel like they're skipping parts of the story.
They're skipping around.
Yeah. Like they're only focusing on like the main events, like kind of jumping from one to the next without getting like that kind of transition that you would get in a book, you know?
Yeah. And sometimes it also feels like they feel that with some exposition, you know, just two characters talking about like a chapter that wasn't adapted.
Oh, do you remember about the time when this happened?
Yeah.
As if like we were supposed to have seen it, but we haven't.
Yeah. So, but yeah, apart from that, I enjoyed it. Oh, I'll say apart from that, I have another thing that kind of irked me. What's his name? The kid who plays Copperfield?
Freddie Bartholomew.
Very unequal, very roller coaster performance, in my opinion.
I have to say, when it started, I didn't like him at first.
Yeah.
I thought like, oh, he's not good. But then I feel like, you know, as time progresses in the movie, I kind of got used to him, and in the end, I kind of appreciated certain scenes or like the way he played in certain scenes. But you're right, it felt like I didn't know how to feel about him.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if it's that, like I said, his performance was up and down, or is it just that, like you say, I got used to it, you know? Because definitely at the beginning, it's jarring. You're like, oh my god, this kid.
Yeah, a little bit. I feel like maybe it could also be the fact that he just felt some scenes better than others, you know? Like maybe in some scenes he didn't really know how to portray certain feelings or certain like...
Yeah, there's a lot of big emotions that he has to convey where a lot of time it doesn't
you don't really feel it much.
Yeah.
Right?
No, you definitely... Either you get used to it or it gets better. It's still iffy in my mind, but it's not horrible like throughout the whole thing.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's just like it takes you out of it a little bit sometimes.
But in general, I really liked the movie.
I really liked it too. I thought it was like very interesting to see such a grandiose story portrayed in a movie. I feel like that's definitely not an easy thing to do even today, because a movie cannot be that long. But this is like a massive story. It would be difficult to know which elements to leave out and how to like do that transition that we were talking about.
Yeah, but that's the issue with any book adaptation turned into a movie. But I feel like, and I guess this is when what I was saying earlier, even without reading the book, I could feel that they were skipping stuff or jumping around. Usually, if you haven't read the book, you're not supposed to feel that,
to get
you know?
That feeling,
It's the people who've read the book are like, actually, they've left out half of the story.
And actually, they have left out half of the story.
But yeah, even without having that background, I still felt like they left out half the story. So, But the half they had, enjoyable.
Yeah, totally. So we did talk a little bit about the performance of Freddie Bartholomew, but what do you think of the other actors?
I think that maybe a bit in line with what of the reviewer was saying, it's mostly great all along, you know, for everybody.
Yeah, I feel like all of these actors just like fell perfectly into their roles.
Highlights, I feel like The Hunt, I thought was really good, but she always is. Fields, well, people had issues with his accent. I didn't really think about it until you just said so now.
Yeah, I didn't notice that either. Yeah. And I feel like it is a little bit of a mix because not all the actors are British actors. But you don't really feel like, oh, this is like too American.
Yeah, it's taking you out or anything.
Yeah.
I thought it was very good. I liked hearing him talk even. Maybe I would say in the same vein that the kid was up and down, his mom also. I think in some scenes she kind of took me out, you know. She was a bit much.
Yeah, you think?
Yeah.
I suppose maybe.
She was a bit like Shakespearean when other people weren't.
But I actually wanted to get to that when talking about the performances. I felt like a lot of the actors played almost like on stage, at least in certain part. You know, where like when you see a play on stage, it's a little bit exaggerated or certain.
But that's the issue though, is that
really
if it was across the board, then you think, oh, that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
But it's not.
Yeah, it's not. That's
the
true.
mom does that, but her husband doesn't. You know, he plays it like a movie.
Yeah.
So it's kind of the contrast makes it kind of weird.
The movie also has a lot of scenes filmed outside, but also in what's supposed to be like harsh conditions. Well, I'm guessing, I didn't find any information about it particularly. Some of them I'm guessing are like staged. But you do get the sounds, like the sounds of nature. And what did you think of that? How did you think of those scenes?
There's a lot of change of scenery, you know, whether they're by the beach during a storm, at sea during a storm, or in a factory in London, or like we move around a lot, and you do feel like the difference in the different places that he goes to. You know, when he's in more calm city or village, there's a like sharp contrast with how it was when they were in London, etc. So in that sense, it works, but also a lot of time I don't believe they were outside, you know. And most of these movies, they film outside scenes and they're inside, but it's making you believe, you know. It's about how you trick the public into thinking like, oh wow, they filmed that in a studio, they were not outside for real. Here I feel like sometimes I was like, obviously you're not outside right now.
But I felt like they did a good job, like even if you can tell, I feel like they did a good enough job at making the scene looking as realistic as possible, you know, with the technology at the time. I feel like the scenes look really good. So I think this is about everything that I wanted to touch on in this spoiler-free section. Is there anything else that you'd like to talk about?
Without spoiling, no, I think when we get into the spoilers, we can maybe touch upon some of the themes that the author and by default the movie touch on, which I think are interesting. But in terms of non-spoiler things, it's an enjoyable movie. Go watch it.
Yeah, so you'd recommend it, right?
Yeah,
I would recommend it too. I think it's definitely an interesting movie to watch and a good adaptation of a book overall. That was it for our spoiler-free discussion, and now let us move on to the spoiler-filled discussion. Don't forget, if you don't want to get spoiled, I invite you to go to the timestamp in the description box below that will take you directly to the end of the video at the ranking section. And for those of you who have already watched the movie or who don't mind getting spoiled, let us move on to the spoiler-filled section. Spoiler. So Rick, let us begin this section the way we usually do. I'll give you a short synopsis of the story. A gentle orphan discovers life and love in an indifferent adult world. Very simple,
very vague,
to the point, and vague. Yeah, that's true. So before we get into talking about the scenes or the elements that piqued our interest, I wanted to make mention of something about the plot of the movie. So you know how you said earlier that you felt like certain parts were skipped out of the story into the movie. So indeed that happened a lot. A lot of elements were skipped. One of the main elements that was completely left out is the whole time that David Copperfield spends in a boarding school. Not even the one where we see him at the end, like when he finishes school, but before his aunt takes him in, he gets sent to a boarding school by his stepfather, and that whole part is skipped. And all the people that he meets there and that are relevant to the story are like completely left out, except for one.
The friend,
yes, Sturford. In the movie, they just moved him from, you know, where he was initially, like in the boarding school, to the school that he goes to later on, under his aunt's care. But that's not where he actually met that character in the original story. So they wanted to keep the character for obvious plot reasons. So this is one of the main issues that people have with this adaptation of the book.
Unsurprising, again, book adaptation to movies often leave out huge part of the plot. The trick is to not make people realize that they were left out. Here they could have done a better job at that a bit.
I feel like one thing that I wanted to talk about is this like general idea of adapting a book into a movie. David Copperfield, and I guess other like great novels like this, are usually filled with a lot of description. Like attention to details, description of characters, of their characteristics, of environment, of feelings, of emotions. You know, if you've read these kind of books, you know that they're there. And I feel like sometimes they don't translate that well into a movie. Because you can't talk about it, you have to show it, right? I don't know how to feel about this movie. I didn't really feel like that emotional impact that you should get from like a very like descriptive narrative story.
Yeah, but I guess a lot of time these end up being, you know, the details that were put into the set, into the costume, into the makeup, etc.
And also the actors like capacity to portray feelings and
exactly.
I want to say with the actors, that's where I felt it the best. I felt their characters like completely. But everything else, like the surroundings, I don't know, it didn't really touch
move you to the world of the story.
Exactly. What do you think of that?
Yeah, well, like I was saying earlier, you know, some of the scenery or background were well made, whilst others, you know, you definitely felt like I'm on a set right now, which will take you out automatically if you realize, you know, you're on a set. But in terms of the fact that this is a story not contemporary to the time in which the movie came out, I feel like you don't feel it that much, you know?
Oh, like it kind of feels like it could have happened.
Sure, there's no cars and there's no like a number of technology that they would have in the 1930s. But still, at first, you kind of don't realize that, hey, we're in the past, you know?
Right, like what, more than 100 years in the past or so. Yeah, I guess that's true. I'm wondering if we just have that feeling because also the 30s are so in the past for us.
It's also in the past for us, yeah.
Like maybe people of the 30s would have seen like, oh, this was like 100 years ago. Oh my God. To us, the 30s were 100 years ago almost, so.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe that plays into it, definitely. But yeah, like that feeling that you get when you're transported to another time period.
I feel like
you don't really get it here.
I feel like you get it the most maybe when David is in London and when he works in that factory.
Yeah.
I feel like maybe that's where you feel the most like, oh yeah, this is 19th century London.
Which I guess would bring me to, you were talking about like in a book a lot of these things are detailed and they can talk about the character, what they feel and what they look around, and a lot of these scenes would be extended upon. I feel like some of the themes that would have been here, they're not really like either present or explored that much. Like there's something to be said about, you know, child labor, David being sent to work in London, but it's kind of just glazed upon, you know. There's no portrayal of the situation, of how hard it can be, of how it affects him, etc., which I feel like in the book they would have. It's
definitely there. Yeah. I also feel like the initial situation of like his mother marrying this man, his stepfather, there's also a story there.
The social implication of that,
exactly.
Why
we don't
it
really
happened.
Get why did she have to marry him, or what happened there.
There's a bit of it when the Hunt tries to guess how it happened. You know, you sweet talked her, you said that everything would be fine for her and a kid, but then as soon as you're married you switch your personality. But also the economic impetus for her to have to marry again in order to be able to take care of a kid. I feel like it's not really something that's mentioned much. The social aspect, which is something that Charles Dickens is often applauded for, you know, he gives you a portrayal of London at the time and how, you know, different class and different group of people would live during those times. And here it's kind of just glazed upon and left behind the story. The story is the main element that the movie is portraying.
And I feel like there's another big element that is completely changed, which is David's status in like all of these different moments in his life. He's an orphan. He's left orphan like quite young. I feel like we should have seen a very difficult life for him, where in this very difficult life of him being moved everywhere by people, not wanted by people, he finds a few people here and there who actually help him get through it. Whereas I feel like in the movie, the focus is on the good parts so much.
Yeah, we do see a bit of a hardship.
It's mostly in the beginning.
Yeah.
But by taking out the period of time when he's in the boarding school where his father put him, it was a difficult time for him, and then the time when he has to work in the factory, we're sure that family helps him, but it's mostly hard. I feel like the focus in the movie is mostly on the good stuff. On like that family who welcomes him and helps him and protects him.
They show him struggling in the factory for like
one scene.
2 minutes.
Yeah.
And then he's being helped by...
Yeah, exactly. I feel like the balance in the movie is definitely on the positive aspects. We see less of what his life actually is, which is of an orphan trying to find his place in the world. And when he does find someone that he can rely on, then it becomes impossible for him to stay there and he has to go on to someone else, you know. I wish we saw more of this struggle. I feel like that's what the story is about.
But I guess, you know, we've been mainly talking about what's not there. But what is there, I feel, is still used effectively to tell a story, because again, that's their focus. You know, they might have lacked in world building and the world portrayal, they do it well, I think, with the story that they're telling.
Yeah.
You know, even though they cut off big chunks of the book's story, but what they have from beginning to end, you know, it's a cohesive storyline that you can follow. You have the main characters that you know come back a couple of times, and you're invested. We kind of sound a bit more down on it than we really are, I feel.
Yeah, I think so. I do think that it's a very like well put together story. I feel like with what they chose to take from the book, they made a very good story like of its own.
Yeah.
So that works really well. And I want to say again, and I think it's the third time I'm saying it, the actors, like spot on.
Yeah,
I feel like
very good job for the most part.
They really bring the story together. They all work well together. And like all the scenes, you are interested in them, like in their dialogue, in their story, in what's happening with every character, you know. So I think that's great.
Yeah. Just wanted to bring it back to that, because I feel like for a few minutes there we were like, oh, there's an issue here and here, but actually we enjoyed the movie. We
really did enjoy the movie. I thought it was a great movie, very interesting story. I was happy to revisit the story, even if, as I said, I knew it already. I knew what happens. I also watched another movie adaptation of this, so I was very familiar with the story, but I still was very interested in seeing like every scene and how they move and how they will do it. So I really liked it. So I guess that was it for our spoiler-filled section. Is there anything else that you'd like to add?
No.
Okay, then let us move on to the ranking section. So the 1935 ranking, as of now, is at number 7, The Lives of a Bengal Lancer, at number 6, Alice Adams, at number 5, Naughty Marietta, at number 4, Ruggles of Red Gap, at number 3, Top Hat, at number 2, Captain Blood, and at number 1, The Informer. So where would we put David Copperfield on this list? I think it's my turn, right?
Think so.
I think I would put it at number 3.
Number 3, which is?
Above Top Hat, below Captain Blood.
Top Hat is a hard one, huh?
It's a hard one, yeah. But you know, that's the thing, is that Top Hat, as much as we really enjoyed the movie, and it's such a well put together movie, I feel like it's
so derivative.
Yeah. Also, I feel like I tend to appreciate more this type of like very complex movies with a complex storyline, you know, like David Copperfield. Just for, you know, their attempt and success at portraying very complex story. So it's difficult, because overall I feel like Top Hat is like a better movie altogether, but I appreciate David Copperfield more, so that's why I would put it above, but I'm not sure.
The thing is, it's kind of similar with Captain Blood and Top Hat, where I was saying like, oh, I was having more of a fun time watching Top Hat, but it doesn't try to be half as ambitious as Captain Blood, so I can't in good faith put it above. And I feel like it's kind of the same here. Yeah, I might have to agree with you on that one and say number 3.
So then that is settled, and the new ranking of the 1935 Academy Awards Best Picture nominated movies as of now, and according to our liking and preferences, is at number 8, The Lives of a Bengal Lancer, at number 7, Alice Adams, at number 6, Naughty Marietta, at number 5, Ruggles of Red Gap, at number 4, Top Hat, at number 3, David Copperfield, at number 2, Captain Blood, and at number 1, The Informer. You happy with this ranking as of now?
Yeah, yeah.
So we did 8 movies this year so far, so we still have
A few left. This is a big year. I think there's like 3 or 4 left.
But that's great, because we get to watch a lot of these like really good old movies. I feel like this year compared to last year, it's already better.
It's more balanced. Last year they were more...
Last year it felt like the top ones were really good and then the bottom ones were really bad.
Yeah.
But here I really feel like it's a good ranking, you know? Like even the last ones or
it's not horrible,
ones,
you
they're
know.
they're not bad. They're just not as good
Less
as
good.
Yeah, exactly. That being said, that was it for our review of the 1935 movie David Copperfield. Thank you all so much for watching. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And leave it in the comment section below. What did you think of this movie if you've watched it? Do you like this adaptation of Charles Dickens' novel? And have you watched any other adaptations of this novel? I'm curious to know about that. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you want to watch more videos of ours. And this channel is not just about reviewing movies. It's a bucket list channel in which we try to accomplish the goals and dreams that are on our bucket list. And we do a lot of different things. Like cooking, learning new stuff, traveling, self-growth, and we make movies about all of them and we bring them all to you. So yeah, subscribe if you want to follow us through our adventures. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and don't forget, if you have a goal or a dream that you want to realize, take that first step.